Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Jasleen Gore, and I'm a trans creator on the Guru Granth Sahib Project. We're excited to announce the release of Guru Teghbahadar Sahib's Banis under Rag Dhanasari and Rag Sarang. Both of these rags have 4 compositions under them, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about the things that have stuck out to me as I've been working on them the past couple of months. So in Rag Dhanasari, the Guru begins the first composition by saying, "O sibling, what do you go to the forest to search for? The one who dwells in all, the ever-detached Hari, or one light, is merged with you." And this is not a new kind of reminder. I think we are all very familiar with this reminder, and it's really easy to intellectualize it and really hard to feel it. And so despite it being such a familiar line or such a familiar kind of refrain from the Guru, it's really difficult to believe it and feel it and allow it to kind of change our behavior. So the thing that sticks out to me in this first composition under Dhanasari is the imagery that the Guru provides us that we can kind of remind ourselves of, especially on days when we aren't feeling that presence. And so the Guru gives us the imagery of the fragrance in the flower, and also the reflection in the mirror. And so these things have this kind of inherent presence within them, and those things cannot be separated. The fragrance cannot be separated from the flower, and the reflection is not separated from the mirror. So even when I'm feeling like I can't I can't feel that presence, I can remind myself of those two kind of images. So I just think that that's something that I'll go back to quite a lot. And then finally, in the fourth composition of Dhanasari, the Guru again provides a familiar kind of refrain, which is showing us how to ask IkOankar for help. Because sometimes we spend all our time searching outside of ourselves, that we don't know how to come kind of back home to ourselves and figure out how to search within for that presence and for that feeling of that presence. So the Guru says, "O dearest, can you recognize your intrinsic nature so that I may swim across despite being a fallen one?" So again, in that last composition, the Guru really shows us how to admit the ways that we are flawed, how to admit that we don't know where to go from here, how to ask what effort we should make now, and how to ask for help from the one who is never fallen from their nature. We might fall, we do from our nature. We might not engage in remembrance, even though that is part of our inherent purpose. But we know that IkOankar does not ever stray from IkOankar's inherent nature and purpose. And so that asking for help is a lot of times really hard for any of us to do. So the Guru gives us a little bit of guidance on that. So those are the things that have stuck out to me in Dhanasari. In Rag Sarang, something that is important to note is that this musical mode is associated with the summer season, with kind of the late afternoon naps that people have, where they're just exhausted from the heat of the day and just from, that time of year and what it does to us. And so the messaging within this series of compositions is not very complicated. It's not super intellectual, but it's also difficult for us to hear because we're human beings and we are stubborn. And so I kind of think of it as like when you're kind of lying down for a nap, your guard is a little bit down. And so it's easier to hear certain things that you sort of know about yourself, but that are still hard to hear. And so the Guru begins with this reminder: other than Hari, the one light, no one is your support. Who is anyone's mother, father, son, wife? Who is anyone's brother? So the Guru is urging us to reflect on the relationships we have with the people that we love, and to really explore what it is that those relationships are rooted in. And again, that's a difficult thing to do because we like to pretend or like to convince ourselves that there's no way that the relationships that we have could be rooted in the temporary. or in the transactional. But we do find when we reflect on our relationships that a lot of times they are. And so then the question becomes, okay, how do I shift that rootedness within my relationships into the eternal? And then in the third composition of Sarang, another thing that I found really interesting was this like kind of constant pointing to our agency in this situation that we've gotten ourselves into. So the Guru says, why is the being wasting their life? In the intoxication of Maya, material attachment, they are engrossed in the love of poison and do not come to the sanctuary of the beautiful. So our choices are very much a theme here. It's not that attachment is this omnipotent force that has wrapped itself around us against our will. It's very much that we have sought it out and that we love being engrossed in it and that we have love of the poison that makes us forget IkOankar. These are all things that we have decided to do. And along that same line, a word that the Guru invokes a couple of times throughout these compositions is mithya. And we've translated it literally as false, but it's actually more complicated than that. It's not that the world is false or the body is false, because that's when he invokes, those two situations are where he invokes mithya. It's that we, just as we have agency to attach ourselves to the material world, we also have the agency to construct a world that is rooted in the temporary. And so when we engage with the world and our relationships and our perceptions of what is, when we do all that rooted in the temporary, then we create a world that is false or that is temporary, that is not real with a capital R. But it's not that we live in a world that is inherently false. It's that we have done this to the world. And so as kind of difficult as it is to hear that we have certain agency and that we've made certain choices, the flip side of that that's really hopeful to me is that just as much as we have bound ourselves in these things, just as much as we have constructed a world that is rooted in the temporary, we can construct a world that is not rooted in the temporary. We can start to root ourselves and our relationships and our perception of the world around us in the eternal. And we can start to make the choice to detach ourselves from the things that we have enjoyed being attached to. And so finally, in the last composition, again, the Guru shows us how to admit pretty clearly that we are agents in this. We have agency. And so we say, I remained engrossed in Maya. I never sang the virtues of the one light with a focused mind. And I only did what was pleasing to me. And I'm admitting that. But again, there's this idea of asking for help and going to the sanctuary and just saying, I know that I've done all these things. Can you please help me? So we do have agency to make the choice to reverse the choices we've made before, but also we don't have to do any of it alone. So I think that these series of compositions are both really, really hopeful. And I hope that you sit with them and maybe explore the word meaning sections and the commentaries and really take your time and see what you get out of it as you walk your own path on your own journey. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.